All right, there we go. Let's start this again. Still have to start it again, Tracy, or
Keep
no?
on going.
Keep on going. All right. Declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. Okay. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda, or are there any items to add to the agenda? CAO Donna, I think you have one.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I got correspondence just this morning from the Atlantic Lotto Corporation, which are the Department of Finance, and I wanted to add that to your agenda if you don't mind.
Okay. Motion to approve the addition of the Atlantic Lotto. All those in favor? So moved by Councillor McKinnon and seconded by Deputy Mayor Yankov. So motion to approve the agenda as amended? Good? Looking at the approval of previous draft minutes, is there any business arising from any comment or discussion items from the previous minutes of our last meeting? Maybe the one thing I might add, at our previous meeting, the mayor had asked to have the public signage policy discussed at the next strategic priorities meeting. In talking with Curly, I think that may be best left to be, because we're going to have an item coming up here on the diversity, equity, and inclusion framework, and that may be something that could be best addressed at that time. So maybe we will defer that, and that might be something that would come up at that time. Is that, are we in general, can we come to a general agreement on that, or do we have to have a motion for that, Donna? No, just a gentleman's agreement. Okay, so we haven't forgotten about it. We've just decided to put it in a different spot and address it at that time. So that will come up at a little bit later time. No, that's for the, remember we had the religious signage that was happening down in North River Road. So that was a discussion that we were going to look at, and there was some public discussion about it. We did receive a couple of emails that came in expressing some, I guess, concerns about it. So it was felt that we would discuss it at this level, at the strategic priorities and communications part, and looking for where we are going now, since the diversity, equity, and inclusion framework, which we're going to be talking about here today with Curly, that might be a place where we could address that and weave it in through that process as well. That was kind of the thinking. So really not a whole lot of point in talking about it today, but certainly it could be included at a later time.
Great, thank you. Let's just not forget about it. Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's not forgotten. It's just to be discussed at a different time. All right. So moving on, we have a few items for discussion here today. The first off would be the public appointment policy and proposed amendments. So CAO Donna, if you want to take over on that.
Mr. Chair, you received in your package a copy of the revised public appointment policy. I only made changes here with respect to the changes that we made with the procedural bylaw and then a few housekeeping items. You will see that this is marked up, saying that the mayor will appoint the committees, and the terms of reference will approve by council, and which is very similar to what was done during the with the council advisory committee. I hope you've all had an opportunity to review it. We reviewed it last month. This is something that we do want to get started because we do want to get these advisory committees set up as soon as possible. There were a couple of smaller things like the terms when that the terms of these committees end with council, and a couple of other smaller things like that. But that basically it's to replace. It's to keep this policy in line with the procedural bylaw that we passed in December.
Right. Okay. Any discussion on the proposed amendments from the public appointment policy?
Just, so it's pretty straightforward. They, as Donna pointed out, the potential advisory committee members will go through the mayor's office, and then a final resolution of council will complete the process.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
I did have one question, CAO Donna. The nominating panel that was mentioned in section 15, is that is that comprised of people as outlined in 16.1, the mayor and city staff and those designated city staff as appointed by the CEO? Is that what you're referring to as the nominating panel? Up in the last section, the nominating panel is required to assess any potential or perceived conflicts. Is the nominating panel the mayor and designated city staff as appointed
Basically, it
by
would
the
be up to them to
CAO?
identify. We will put the applications through HR to vet them, to make sure
Yes.
that they're city residents and all that type of
Yes.
thing. But if there's a potential conflict of interest, it would probably be through the mayor's office and with whoever staff is designated.
No, it wasn't so much on the conflict side. It was more on the nominee. It references a nominating panel up in the previous paragraph just before 16, section 16 there. The nominating panel is required to assess.
Sorry, that would be the mayor's office and any people appointed. And then it would, if there was, to review the applications to make sure that they're not in conflict with
Okay.
any of the terms.
Okay. Great.
Mr. Chair, what
Yep.
is the, or CA Donna, what is the deadline for applications to come in? I'm not seeing that.
That is not in the policy. I think we'll probably set it for, once we advertise it. We haven't done any of that. So it will, if it's in the newspaper and on the website on February 17th, we'll probably give 3 weeks. And then as time goes on, if we don't get enough people, we'll probably keep it up. There's no deadline, but people who are interested in serving should keep an eye on the newspaper and on the website in particular, because that's where the openings will come. It may be that we appoint 5 people to a board and, one moves or doesn't want to do it or something like that, then there'll be an opening come about. So it's a revolving door.
So somebody potentially could put their application in now, even though it's not advertised?
You'd wanna,
prefer not?
You'd wanna wait until the advertisement, sorry.
Thank you.
And Chair, I just ask that once that nominating process opens, if an email could go out to council so that we can share it with our various wards to ensure that they know. Yeah.
No problem, Deputy Mayor.
That would come through comms, what, communications would?
Probably through strategic priorities or through, Carly will probably send it or me or someone like that.
There you
Or
go, Carl.
Jackie as well. Comms, we don't have a lot of comms people, so I'm trying to keep work out there.
So we're looking for a motion to approve this policy to bring it to council,
Yes.
correct? Okay, so I guess general wording. Do I have a motion to approve
I'll
the
move.
public appointment policy as outlined?
I'll second.
Here. Moved by Deputy Mayor Yankoff, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried, 2-0. All right, 2023 Community Survey Report. So we have Carly Siapas with us here today, and Carly has a multifaceted title, so I'll hold off on that. But Carly, if you can go ahead and take over the next part of our agenda.
Yep. Thank you, Chair Beck and members of committee. So just to give a quick highlight to the report that's in your package today, staff are recommending that we undertake a 2023 community survey, formerly known as the Citizen Satisfaction Survey. And really, we're hoping to rename it so as part of the evolution of the data that we hope to derive this year and beyond. And really the goal is to measure the strengths and opportunities of the organization, but really build on what's been done in the past and what we can really achieve going forward. It's also an opportunity to use this data to inform our upcoming and ongoing programs and services. So the request being made today is to issue the RFP pre-budget and award only if approved by council as part of the operating budget. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Carly? Deputy Mayor Yankoff?
Thank you. Thank you, Carly. So you just want to get the process started, and once then everything is formalized and approved in the budget, then you'll be able to award the RFP. But you don't want to hold off too long because you want to get the things moving?
Absolutely, that's correct. So through Chair Beck to Deputy Mayor Yankoff, on page 2, I've just proposed an estimated timeline, and really that gets us to the end result of seeing results in council chambers and publicly by June. So before summer break. I know we don't break, but a lot of people do, and I think this is good news that we'll be wanting to share.
I would add my support to it, Carly, with the fact I like the part of the community engagement part and the communication plan being created to ensure community, kind of going back to our other part here, what we were talking about earlier about having them knowing that it is there. It's due, it's going to be run the biennial basis here now too. So the other part I do like too is that there's a lot of work done in terms of finding out, kind of building on the work that's been done and bringing it into 2023. And so I like seeing what is there. Further discussion on that? So motion on, just brief. So a motion to approve the biennial community survey as outlined in the proposal here today, to bring that forward to council.
Mr. Chair, I don't think we need to bring it to council at this point in time. I think
okay.
that you people would just tell Carly to go ahead and
Okay.
and get the RFP ready, and then it will come back here for award, and then it will go, the award will
Okay.
go to council.
Thank you. Learning process continues for the chair. Okay, thank you for that, Don. Okay, so go ahead, Curly. The permission granted to continue on with your fine work. All right, as previously mentioned, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Framework and Action Plan Report. Carly?
Sure, thank you, Chair Beck. So similar to the previous agenda item, looking for a similar potential outcome from you today. But again, I'll give a few highlights here. Diversity, equity, inclusion is obviously very important to all of us and to our community. It's actually new to the strategic initiatives portfolio that I oversee. So that's an exciting part, but there's clearly lots to learn for everyone, including myself, and then for that reason, lots to be done in a good way. So the staff report before you highlights the creation of this new plan, and really it will help us better understand DEI internally with our staff, but also externally among our community members. And really the goal is to strengthen our overall commitment to these efforts. Of course, I'm happy to hear feedback today, as this could take a number of different directions. However, I believe that again here in this project, the community, staff, and stakeholder engagement are really critical to its success and development. So just to summarize, the request being made today is similarly to give highlight to this opportunity and to be able to issue the RFP pre-budget ahead of the council discussion around operating budget specifics. And if approved, we would proceed with that green light. So I'm happy to answer any questions on DEI as I know it.
Any discussion on the proposal? Deputy Mayor Yankoff?
Sure. Not really any discussion, just thank you, Carly. This is certainly a long overdue item, and I really appreciate you putting that work into it. So I'm looking forward to this moving forward, if it's all approved with our budget. So thank you very much.
I think you highlight a good point too, that it's a lot of learning and it's new, and So I think we all have areas to grow on that, so. So are we good with that? Friendly agreement? Okay. Thank you, Carly. And Carly, keep on with you and the mic, and if you could bring us up to speed on the strategic plan update.
Thank you again, and this will be my third and final report before you today. So the strategic plan, that was a big undertaking that we initiated in a previous term of council and was approved last August. But really, it was initiated in order to hit the ground running with this term of council. So I'll just give a quick background to catch you up to speed on what did take place following its approval. Our department heads actually had an off-site and began to work right away on that next step, which was the action plan development. And I will say that through that work and those discussions, they actually, they did note a need for a new point under the governance and civic engagement pillar. So I didn't want to just put that in the report. I wanted to speak to that specifically because it highlights the importance of people and safety, and that was a really good discussion that we had as part of our department head meeting there. So that change is a friendly amendment that's being requested today. It is reflected in attachment 1, the strategic plan. That's in your package there today. So just skipping ahead to the action plan, the work that actually went into last fall was this action plan. And we had about 80 inputs, so priorities and initiatives that will help us deliver on this new strategic plan over the next 4 years. The action plan itself, it's in a chart form. It's in attachment 2 of your package there. It's a little longer. But what this does, it gives a list version or a snapshot of the projects and the status. So basically, how did we do in 2022 for these initiatives that were identified? So in 2022, we said that we were going to get started on 45 initiatives there. And I'm happy to report on behalf of the department heads and CAO that more than half are in progress, either initiated or well underway with the 3-quarter indicator that you'll see in the chart. And then a number of them, nearly half, are actually just ongoing projects that we've committed to as continuous improvement. So that's there before you as well. In terms of what we want to do with this report, our next steps is to really use it as a framework for what our priorities continue to be, obviously informed by council on an ongoing continuous basis. But our specific next step is really to derive some performance metrics and talk about how we're going to track progress and then continue to report back to committee and council each year. And we plan to do that at the beginning of each year, let's call it January for lack of a better month, to you so that you know how we're doing with these projects. So our next report back would be in 2024, but we do have a lot of work to do in the interim to get these moving and to keep them going, to actually see some completions. So I'm excited to present this to you today on behalf of the department heads and, of course, all of staff, and address any questions you may have.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add one thing to this. I think that, and I want to compliment Carly and all of the staff on the work that they've done on this project. I was appalled that we were commencing this project when and I think the award was given at the May council meeting prior to my arrival. And I said, we can't, how are we going to do this on top of everything else? But the staff came through in this project, and they all were very excited about it and very and put a lot of work and effort into it. But I think from a council perspective, one of the things that you people will really appreciate is this reporting back factor. It also helps a lot with when you go to do your budgeting in your various departments. Like we've said, it says energy performance improvements. Well, like those are being over those 3 years. This is what we're doing. And it will help you in your budgeting as well. And you're looking forward where we're going. And so I guess as the interim CAO, I'm going to give the former council all credit because they pushed forward with this, even though I wanted to drop it, and the staff just picked it up and went with it. So my kudos to all of our staff and for doing this. And I think you guys are going to find this to be an invaluable tool over your term. And Carly's words were what she said. When making the arguments with me was, we want to have it in place, Donna, for the new council.
Right.
So that the new council can run with this, and they will have, you know, when, in 3 years' time or 4 years' time, when you said, what did we do over the past 4 years? Well, you could look at this and say, oh, we did this, look at all the things that we did. And we never had this before at the city, so congratulations to all on this one.
Yep. I would certainly second that, Donna, in terms of, I like clarity, I like I like simplicity too, and I think this has both. I think this provides, and I don't like when reports are made and strategic plans are made and they're airy-fairy and nothing is actionable on them. So I also like the fact that there was heavy consultation from the professional staff and the department heads fully engaged in this. So that makes a difference when there's an ownership of that happening. So I would certainly, I like the hour clock thing there too, in terms of where we are, in terms of showing us where we are. So personally, as a newbie, I like this. I think it's a great approach to it. I did have a few questions. I would defer though to Councillor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Yankov. If you have any questions first, you can ask them of Carly. No? Good. Carly, I was just wondering, when it says under the page 5, you're talking about 1,200 social media engagements. What does that mean exactly?
Thank you, Chair Beck. So if we just look at attachment 1, the strategic plan, the how we got here slide is really important for us to include, because we did not only use social media, we use traditional media to advertise the engagement opportunity for really the community, the public, to get involved with the online survey and submit feedback to City Hall. So the social media engagements were tracked because we did use some boosted posts, and we have some back-end metrics that we can gather that data.
So if I'm a citizen, I could comment on that through social media and that was captured? Is that,
Yes.
is that what that means? Sorry, I'm pardon my ignorance on that.
No, thank you for the clarity. In a nutshell, yes, that's how. We use specific posts to capture those metrics because we don't have a paid metric tool.
Okay.
So we have a bit of a limited scope there, but that's exactly how it's done in the back end. Yeah.
Okay. And when you said 4 online survey responses, was there only 4 people that responded to?
I think that's a typo. Thank you, Chair Beck. It's 400 plus.
400
So
plus.
something must have dropped off there, but no, we were
Okay.
really happy with the online survey responses, so I'm not sure how that ended up like that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you for that.
And the key informant interviews, who would, or I'm not identifying people, but
Sure.
who would be key informants? Like, is that sort of business community? Is it, or what is it?
Yeah, so the key informants that were interviewed, so those are the longer 30 to 40-minute one-on-one calls with the consultant here. Those were actually done with department heads, members of council, and some of our external community stakeholders. I don't want to give them away, but
No,
often we hear
no,
about
I'm
them
not
at
looking
budget
for that, yeah,
time,
yeah.
and those are the partners that we're quite familiar with.
Okay. I have a few more if you don't mind. Over on page 8, what does it mean harmonizing resident and visitor priorities? About halfway down on the commitments.
Thank you again for the question. In this area, our commitments, there were a number of areas that we wanted to ensure we embraced with everything we do, and this was one of them. And this one really came from our economic, tourism, and culture group, I think, from memory. Really everyone, but for them specifically, both groups are equally as important. Obviously, residents are primary, they have that asterisk, but visitors as well,
Right.
with the business that they're in.
Good. Okay. I'm not done. Sorry. Prioritizing waterfront development and can you speak to that a little bit? It talked about anticipatory requirements related to preparation for sea level, building opportunities for resident and visitors alike to experience its waterways. It's on page 10. first bullet. Talked about prioritizing waterfront development and anticipatory of requirements related to that.
The third bullet.
First one?
Page 10, under community building and placemaking, if I can
Yeah,
clarify.
community building and placemaking, yep.
So under community building and placemaking, the discussion here was really around, the community, the environment, and waterfront continued to come up. And I remember that one specifically coming from our residents, but also certain departments have a real priority focus on preserving, protecting, and really keeping that space. So I don't know if I can answer your specific
that's
question
good.
there, but I know the essence of it was really around responding to what we heard in the online surveys through the community.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay. On page 13, under infrastructure and the environment, the third bullet, embracing the principle of adaptive reuse and the circular economy. That's not a term I'm familiar with. What does a circular economy mean?
That's a really good question for our economic team, but from my understanding, it's really about, and even our environment and sustainability team, you'll hear that term through those two groups.
Okay.
And really, it's just about that having that lens, that sort of that comprehensive look about, where we buy, spend, shop, and how we use things, and
Okay.
not in a one-time use way. I'm just simplifying from my knowledge, but in a sort of a complete systematic way, so that we're avoiding the one-use items. Like I think of single-use plastic, for example, as a base level, but circular economy is much broader. It's like a macro level.
Okay.
And if you want the definition, it is a noun. Economic system based on the reuse and regeneration of materials or products, especially as a means of continuing production in a sustainable and environmentally friendly way. The notion of a circular economy has gained traction with many companies looking to operate in a way which minimizes waste.
For someone who didn't know an answer, you answered that pretty well, Carla. Very good. I'm done with my questions. Thank you for that, Carla. You did an excellent job answering them, so thank you for that. It was, and I do appreciate the amount of work that has been put into this, and I like what I see. Speaking for me, anyway.
To
Thank you.
echo Chair Beck's words, this has been a long time coming, and it's just so great to have this tool now in our toolbox. So thank you, Carly, and your team for all the work you put into this. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I don't think we need to go into a closed session for the next item. I think it can be held in the open session as well. I think I just kind of made a mistake when I was doing the agenda.
Okay.
So the next item can be in the open session.
Sure.
No, I'm sorry, the Atlantic Lotto, that is the next item, isn't it? The next,
Yeah.
the item I haven't closed.
Are we
is-
going to the closed one after that, though, I think?
Okay, sure, if you want.
So you want to keep, the Atlantic Lotto won't go to close,
No, Atlantic Lotto's open.
but the other closed item will remain?
We don't think we have to, but we can do it. It is a human resource matter.
Yeah, I think it might be best.
Okay.
Yeah. If that's okay with Deputy Mayor Yankoff and Councilor McKinnon? Yep, okay. All right, Atlantic Lotto.
Mr. Chair, I just received this correspondence this morning, like an hour ago. And it is from the Deputy Minister of Finance, who is also Chair of the PI Lotteries Commission. When the casino opened out at the Red Shores in 2005, one of the offshoots of that was that the city of Charlottetown was given a grant by the Atlantic Lotteries from their revenues that they earn from the casino to the city of Charlottetown to aid in such things as fire protection, additional police protection, that type, and other services that are offered, that arise as a result of having a casino. This is done in every other city, in every other province as well it's certainly at the time, it was done in every other province as well. So we have been receiving, since 2005, $400,000 from Atlantic Lottos for the purposes of the services, and I think it has to be recognized that there are services that we provide that arise as a result of the casino that may not be able to be quantified as well. I just received this correspondence this morning suggesting that this is, that the auditor, Prince Edward Islands Auditor General has suggested that a review of this be taken place. The money will flow for this budget year, 2022, 2023, as budgeted, but it is up in the air for 2024, 2023, 2024. I bring it to you, Mr. Chair, to your committee, Mr. Chair, just to make sure it's on the agenda so that it doesn't get lost in transitions and that type of thing. I would anticipate that we will be setting up a meeting with the province to have a discussion on this, the fire and police and other department. I will send out to them to get some information. We'll be able to put together a little package to have a discussion with the province on this. But it will have to be done in anticipation of the budget year, the upcoming budget year.
Okay.
I just didn't want to see it get lost. So there's no action for you. It'll be just reflected in the minutes as being part of, that this is something I've also forwarded up to the new manager of finance so that she'll have her eyes on it as well, because it's a 400,000 is a significant revenue item in our budget. We have very few other than property taxes. So this I'm thinking maybe one of our largest besides the property tax. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So just question, CAO Donna, if you say proposed review of this grant, would it be looking for an increase to kind of help with the increased costs of police services, or?
That will certainly be the
like
argument that we'll be making, Councillor.
Okay, all right, very good.
That
So-
will definitely be the argument that it should be increased to 600,000 or 700,000.
Has it ever been proposed in the past
No.
to be increased? This is the first time?
This is the first review that
17
I've
years?
known of.
Okay.
There may have been a review in the past 6 years, but there wasn't. No.
Okay, thank you.
I like you trying to take care of your department there, Councillor McKinnon. Good job. Well played. Yeah. And it does look like it's a new agreement coming, so it's a discussion about what that new agreement looks like. Right, yeah. Okay, thank you for that, CAO Donna. So the next motion, since we do have a human resource matter, there's a motion to move into a closed section as per section 119(1)D of the Municipal Government Act of PEI. Do I have a mover for this
Moved.
motion? Moved by Deputy Mayor Yankoff, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. And any discussion on the agenda? Second? Welcome back. Just item number 7, any new business to add to before we conclude? All good? Motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Deputy Ankoff. Meeting is adjourned at 12:50 PM. Thank you for coming.